Hey guys, we're trying this. I don't know if it's going to work. There are issues with it, and everyone thinks that it should be easy, but it's not really. I'm going to move my head over here to actually read the screen. I'm using Peter's Steadicam, which I think is probably going to be better. Thank you, Peter. Mark, Stuart, g'day. Ron Wise, was it? G'day. William Henry, hello. Good luck with the printer, Adam. Team Biscuits, g'day. Stuart Hingston, we said that all right. And Mark again. Looking and sounding good. Now, when I touch the screen, this is going to shake anyway, so you can't really get out of that. You've got shaky screen, whatever you get. And this is even on the gimbal. So we'll see how that works. Darren, g'day. Gentleman Randy, hello. Look, it's another week of me not really being in the mood to do steamroller bits, right? Which is terrible because the steamroller bits that absolutely need to be done with some alacrity, and I'm just slack, is where I'm at, right? Not done much. I haven't been real well, and I was supposed to go to Dan's this last weekend for Work and Beat weekend, which would have been awesome, but I just wasn't feeling up to it Friday night, driving down there. I come home, I was still coughing and barking and feeling pretty crap. So I come home. I had Saturday off, which is a bit of a waste of a Saturday, but anyway, I sort of slept in and did a few little crappy jobs. Gave Joe a hand with his computer, with his robot, and we might have a look at the robot just in passing a bit later on if we think of it again. Joe's left. Why is he left? Because he's not real keen on storms. Not big with spiders or storms or anything else, and he's got enough brains to, if there are things that trigger him or bring up bad memories and things, he's got enough brains to get out. So he's gone Roma-wise. West, anyway. Somewhere where we have electricity to do some study. That's what happened. He's left an hour ago, which is... He'll be in Toowoomba tonight. You'll find somewhere. Won't hurt him. I've been messing in my off times a bit the last month, maybe, on this. I thought we'd have a look at the CAD program, because I don't think I've ever done this like this. I don't know if this is the way to do it. Well, as I said, it's just rain and rain. But yeah, the thing is that the tropical cyclone expected to hit tomorrow night. Where? Within a big enough radius and in a small enough vicinity of here for make us sort of in the middle of it, to be honest. And I'm here on my own, which is nice. It's really nice to be here on my own. But we'll see what happens tomorrow. I'm supposed to work in the morning. I'm not feeling like that's something that's going to happen, but it could. It may just happen. It may just happen, but at this point, we'll have a talk about that in a bit too. Just looking at this and thinking, there we go, there it is, it's missing. We've got a front window missing. Anyway, when I do a CAD project like this, which is reasonably regularly. I do a lot of CAD, and this one was a learning curve for 1,000 reasons, because one, it's all got to be 3D printed and in fairly small scale, so everything's really a top quality print. It's got to be a top quality print to go together and look good. Two, there's some really fine shapes that are very difficult to model. Three, there's some fancy curves. And four, it's got to look something like the prototype. And information on prototypical Fodens is just not out there, because Foden lorries are all different. There's a statistic floating around that something like in the 20 years post World War II, they had something like 48 official cab designs. So none and two are the same, basically. Hey John, hope you're all right. Hope the Americans aren't getting you down. So, yeah, 48 cab designs in 20 years, which is sort of two a year, different ones. They were built concurrently, because the thing about a Foden is that a 1946 Foden looks really not much different to a 1972 Foden. Realistically, a S8N Foden was sort of the same all that for that whole distance, but there's 1,000 little differences. That's one crusty laptop. Yeah, this is my workshop laptop. It's, poor thing's a bit dusty and stuff. I probably could have wiped it, but it is a bit dusty. It's my CAD laptop, and it's a bit old now. I've got a rag here, I could do that. But poor old alien worker laptop's a bit dead. If I wanted to cause World War III, I'd say I'm probably saving for a new MacBook, but it hasn't happened yet. Anyway. So, there's a thing called in a scale truck club that I belonged to for some years, just as an interested observer, because I haven't built a scale model truck for years, like 30 years maybe. And I haven't really, I've had a very strong interest over the last few years on vintage English trucks, and I know a little bit about them, I guess, and I've sort of, haven't lived and breathed them, but I sort of take an interest, and I read the magazines, all that stuff, and I know what's what, and I know what stuff looks like. And there's, anyway, for a group I'm a member of in Facebook, there is basically a 6-month build-off or competition or a collective build. Everyone picks a model and starts on the same day and gets some results, and as probably is a bit self-driven, some people actually get them finished. So we've got 6 months, and it's probably the busiest 6 months of my life, because there's other stuff happening too. And the other thing is that this build-off's got to be, kind of sans too much cash. I'm not spending money on this, right? With the patina, John. With scale, like 124 scale trucks, and building customs 124 scale trucks, you can spend hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of dollars on them, like literally. I looked very closely at the Atkinson conversion kit from a Volvo, because I had a Volvo kit in the cupboard in a box for a little while, and it wasn't a real good conversion. Very nice parts with it, and I think with a lot of messing around you can make it a good conversion, but the conversion kit on its own in resin was like $200, $300 landed here, plus all the other bits that you'd have to buy to get it going, or all the other bits you'd have to find. So so it had to be something that's done on a budget. And I didn't want to go fancy 1960s, 1970s cab, like a LAD cab Leyland or something that's, or a, you know, even S20 Foden or a Atkinson Border or something with a lot of curves in it, because I really don't think that my modelling skills are good enough. And I really don't think that my CAD skills are good enough. And I'm not sure my printing skills are good enough. So I picked the S18 Foden, which is this one, right? There we go, it's the Foden. If we turn on perspective view here so we can have a look, gives you a bit more realistic sort of ground view of the Foden. And it looks like an English truck, really. It hasn't got a grille in here. It hasn't got opening doors, and I don't think that's going to be an option. It's probably going to have lift-off roof so we can change the inside a bit. Have a look at this. This is on shape, by the way. I'm sort of doing this because most people, when they see a CAD pro or a CAD picture online that's half reasonably good, say, what program do you use? And then you have this discussion about it. John Creasy uses Onshape a lot, who modelled his whole chess set in this and did a really nice job of it. I don't know if he still uses it, but he's familiar with it. I don't know anyone else much who does, but I think it's probably better than Fusion 360 because the tools that were in this when I started modelling it are still available free for use today, whereas with Fusion 360, every time someone logs in or updates it, you get a little bit less for your money, or a little bit less for nothing. So we could close some of these, eh? Well, we'll start with this. We've got all clear windows in here. There we go, that's it. The rear one. We'll get rid of the cab, have a bit of a look. Left hand door window, left hand cab window, right hand cab window, left hand front window, right hand front window. So that's, I think, that's all the windows gone. We start up here and close the cab off. This is what we've got. This is what we've sort of started with. There's a chassis that comes from the factory. This is the seat, which is work in progress. It's not any numbered parts still. This is part 61. These side panels are still numbered, but we just put these on. Whether they actually happen or not, I think they've got to clear the air compressor pulley on this side here. This is supposed to be part of the cab, but it's not yet. We've got a floor panel there and a bonnet, which lifts up for access. Whether that'll happen or not, there's a hole for a crank handle, which is sort of a bit pseudo, I guess you would call it. And we've got a Gardner 6LW underneath. So with some of these parts. Headlights are still in the way, but there's a gardener there, so oh crap, and a proper Foden 12-speed box, sort of. It's a representation. If we look at the top of it, it's quite a good program to use. I've put these grooves on here, or timbers on the front inside, so that we can align this to the cab when we sit the cab on. So that's an alignment tool there. That's just part of the... But when you look at these, things like these guards, they're not a perfect circle. They're actually two ellipses. One there and one there from the centre. So there's a bit of work in this. Thanks, John. I don't know if I am. It's just practice. It needs someone in a flat cap to sit inside. Absolutely. That's correct. Go create. G'day. Steering option. I just closed the steering column, so that's there. Right, we've got a steering wheel here which goes through the floor. The steering box goes on this side of the chassis, and it's going to be probably one of the Volvo parts that go on it. If we look at this, the speedo is actually in the middle of the steering wheel on a Foden, which is one of those classic 1940s features that everyone needed. The clutch housing here, bell housing, has the back engine mounts in it, and the front ones are yet to be disclosed on the engine. We've got a radiator that sort of lines up and doesn't touch anything. Big Gardner engine. Anyway, we've got a worm drive diff, which everyone needs because it'll be slow. And officially we're supposed to have, in the hubs here, which haven't happened yet, supposed to have gear reductions in there as well, or the representation of it. So anyway, got in and did that. This cross member here has given me quite a lot of grief. It's an interesting part to print because there's so many angles in it and nothing sits flat, and it's all got support and it's all very fine. All these parts are very fine. They're mostly got a wall thickness of 0.6, 0.8 millimetre, something like that. And they're all got 0.05 layer height to give them the detail. So that, as a rule, means you've got to print things twice. Because they never ever stick, and there's other issues and things like that. As we go now, I'm actually printing front springs. These are done in halves. So there's one half on the back that has the spring hanger. So if we look at that, you can see that, I think, if we look at the back here, that these are split in two pieces through here, so that you get the detail pattern on the top and the detail pattern on the top of the other part, and then just glue them together. So this cross member here has given me a little bit of grief. I don't know, I've left it out, and hopefully it goes in the model without actually sort of being too much of a bugbear. So as a result, we've got this, right? Somewhere on the same angle, I don't know. Something like that. I had all sorts of issues. This is a Volvo diff, and I've just turned the Volvo diff over on its back. and cut the top off it, or the cuffs at the front off it, and then I've printed the worm drive arrangement to go on the top. These here, these springs are done in 2 parts just the same, and there's a jig made to glue all this up, and then these have got copper wire U-bolts to hold them all in place, and that reinforces it a bit. Trouble is with this is we're printing it out of PLA, and it's not quite as nice as styrene or whatever a kit is, because you can't just use a proper kit glue that's been formulated over years. You've got to use super glue or Aldite or something. So we're learning to use super glue, and that's what we got. The front axle springs go here somewhere, so it's only very short. It's very short. Surprisingly, we've got no twist in it that way, and it's nice and flat, and it's nice and square, so that's a good step in the right direction. Also, because this diff for the Volvo, it was a Volvo F12 kit I had kicking around, and probably shouldn't have chopped it up, probably should have just made everything from scratch, but I didn't. In hindsight, might have been a good idea, but there's a lot of detail features I'll use. But this diff was offset in the truck by about, real terms, 100 mil probably, with the tail shaft down one side, which is fun because when we put this one back in the centre, we discover that one of these axles is 2 mil longer than the other. So I ended up chopping them off equal, and I put a brass axle in it because no one likes wobbly wheels anyway, and all model kits have wobbly wheels. These are just roughly assembled. They are wobbly, but to give you some sort of idea of the size of it, that's the back end, and that's the steer axle. It's going to put a metal steer axle in it as well to carry sort of the weight, but that's where we're at with that. That's a Foden S18 or a FG, I guess, if you wanted to call it that. FG tractor, I think, is the correct designation for this particular truck. Ceramic bearings, probably I'll find a piece of copper tube or brass tube that fits nicely on that shaft, and these crappy plastic holes will get reamed out and get them put in it, and they'll be a bit nicer than the wobbly plastic model wheels. Like, things you forget about plastic models is that the wheels are a bit crap. Will I weather it? No, it'll probably be shiny and new because I like things shiny and new, and in reality, shiny and new, clean, fully restored stuff is very, very, very difficult to get hold of, or to keep hold of. If you've got something, it's a bit of a job. So that's sort of what I'm messing with. I'm going to probably, if I'm here tomorrow, I'm going to put this away because there's only so many hours of this you can actually do without going crazy, to be honest. So might put a couple of little magnets in here. I found some 2mm magnets, and use like 1/8 tin sheet each side, so that when you take the roof off you can probably remove this, but then the top was hinged, so I'm not sure what we're going to do with that. Anyway, it's all sort of suck it and see at this point, but I've got these bits after a big pile of chassis rails and cross members that didn't turn out and won't turn out and aren't really ideal. I've redrawn this that many times, that I've got a nice square straight chassis. Plan for the number plates. I'm not sure it's going to have number plates. I don't know. You put H-Rego numbers on it maybe. So this gearbox, I guess, needs to be some sort of aluminium, and the rest sort of all sort of green and some aluminium rocker covers and things. Aluminium steering column. It's got to have a gear lever sticking up here somewhere. I think there's a cutout in here. I'm not sure whether that's going to happen. This back end, look at the crazy size of this back end and how short it is. This is a very small truck to carry a very big payload, so it would have been a bit bumpy without a load, I think, and certainly a bit slow. It wasn't a quick truck at all. Tail shafts and stuff will probably all get cut down off the Volvo. The Volvo comes with a battery tray. I'm not sure that's right. The battery layout on Foden's was a fairly good indication of what engine was in them, so I'd like to get that right. Wouldn't roll. Probably wouldn't roll in neutral, to be honest. They weren't really designed. They weren't a rolly sort of a truck. They must have had some sort of a one-way clutch or something in them, because if you're brave enough, I think angel gear is probably the thing, but I'm not sure how that worked. Not sure what was involved in that. There are other things that had worm drive diffs that worked fine though, like a Fordson tractor, like F model Fordson and N model Fordson. Even the N27 was worm drive, I think. So Fordson tractors were notoriously like that, and they lasted forever, except that if you happen to hook them behind a stump, they just turn themselves over. So it's a little rail along the chassis there that this lines the cab floor, so that's in the model there. Haven't really thought about things like tank supports. The muffler, someone asked about the muffler. The muffler will go under the front here and out under the door. It's fairly common English lorry practice from the 50s. Out this side here, under the front with a pipe. With these things, you were sort of sitting on the engine. Like literally, you're sitting on the injector pipe pump here, and to get the bonnet off, you had to basically lift this piece out, same as any other English truck. Prime and levers here to start the engine, the air compressor, fuel filler, oil filter, or fuel filter, and a filler. Generator down in the bottom there. Water pump on this side and a manifold on this side, and the starter motor. Then I've left holes for a gear selector, and I've left holes in the model for things like shafts, so we put real metal shafts in them, and then there's covers over the front that we can print and stick over the top. So quite a lot of this is separate parts. It's not very big, but things like this cover here and rocker covers and the air compressor and even the injector pump, they'll go on separate as we go, so you get a decent coat of paint all round. On another let's have a look here. Let's have a look at this drawing, or this tab. I don't know if anyone's even interested in this. This is sort of Look, for something like this, 30 mile an hour is probably going to be flat out. Like, seriously. I have vivid memories of driving a Albion, 8-wheeler Albion, a bit later than this, the LAD cab, which was the export, or the universal English cab in the 60s, late 60s. Very similar sort of thing, similar drivetrain. I have very vivid memories of driving one in the school holidays, taking loads of potatoes. 8-wheeler with probably a 26, probably 8-metre potato bin on it, and probably 2 metres tall. And full of spuds, it would move them anywhere, and it's quite a load. Most semis wouldn't have handled it. But I do remember very vividly if someone taking it to town because they thought they'd get some gravel to gravel the driveway or gravel one of the roads, and took it down and filled it, like put a metre of gravel in the bottom of it, and didn't really notice it coming home that they were overloaded. They had quite a load and it was riding pretty well, but it was a big load. And when they put the hoist up, it all went sideways and bent everything and wrote the truck off. And that was the end of that one. It ended up back up in the paddock and someone bought something else. But that's a lot of gravel. It was probably 40 tonne of gravel in the thing. And it didn't really notice it. It was not bad for a 1960s truck. But yeah, the silencer goes under the front. So, things capable of pulling anything, but fairly slowly and fairly noisily and fairly uncomfortably. This is the Gardner model that I started with months ago, really. I've spent a little bit of time on it over the last month or 2 months or so. Give you a bit of an idea how this prints. This little front plate goes on there and covers up the holes for the shafts. Shafts. Let's close some of this. So we've got a cam box that's still working there. So print that in 2 halves, sitting flat down like that. Very difficult colour someone picked to see on the screen. No, said truck was sort of yellow or white. Most of those LAD cabs were white. Probably had a red chassis from memory. It was probably a very respectable truck in its day, but it was a long time before I drove it. And it was pretty slow. It was twin steer, so it was pretty heavy in the steering. 8-wheeler. If it was a Leyland, it was probably an Octopus, but I think it was an Albion. So 8-wheeled Albion. Shefton or something like that, probably. Anyway, so this prints the halves print like this, see, and this is one we prepared earlier just to see how it'd go. Not bad detail in them. Then glue them together and paint them, and then all the other bits go on like pulleys and probably not a manifold. Manifold goes on the other side. Scott's at Cayenne had a 4-axle twin steer. I mean, there was a tipper and had a twisted chassis from Pipping. A cool looking truck. I think most of them did. I think they were probably an 8-wheeler. Had a very long chassis with not enough cross members in it, and they were probably a bit notorious for that. But you could overload them incredibly much, and they had high-sided bins on them for vegetables. So I would imagine that the one at Ringarooma is probably still in the paddock. It may have been gone for scrap, but I doubt it. I reckon it's still sitting there, along with about 6 or 8 others. And a lot of mostly English stuff, Albions and Leylands, Leyland Reavers and Beavers, and Albion Sheftons, and probably Dodge. The same cab on all of those, exactly the same. And probably in latter years, as they got a bit old, there was Leaders and Whites and Atkinsons, like Mark II Atkinsons, things like that. But it's a long time ago. That's 30, nearly 30 years probably. 28, 30 years ago. And they're probably still sitting there, or they're rusted away. But I think it was a common thing. There wasn't really any safety with any of them. They were just... But you could go and put a load on it and not notice it bringing it home, and put the hoist up and hit a bump, and that's the end of it, because they were quite a long truck too. They were nowhere near heavy enough to put a full tipper on it, really. They weren't really designed for a hoist. They were a flat truck that should have had tarps on it and loads, and run from English town to English town, really. Anyway. That sounds like a Gardner or an English engine anyway. That's a few years ago. That's a long time before an Albion, before a LAD cab. The 6LW, I think, probably never had air gaskets. I think they were lapped. And the, yeah. This is a 6LXB, which is a little bit more modern. Let's change this so you can actually see it. That might be a little bit easier. So there we go. Cam box goes on that side. which is basically an injection pump. And put the rockers back on. And the filters, governor lever, a couple of shafts back in. Plate back on the front that looks like that. Put the sump back on. Compressor on. And the belt first, I guess. The belt last. On this side we've got a starter and a manifold. We've got a water pipe there. And we've got a front mounting that didn't really work. So anyway, that's what I've been messing with. I don't know if that's of any interest to anyone else, to be honest. That's probably not a particularly productive thing to be doing. And I've got a steamroller to get back on in steam and to register and to put boiler tickets on and 1,000 other jobs to do on it. But no progress on any of that because I've had the flu. I'll say that. I've had the flu and I didn't feel much like... I just felt like sitting around and resting, and this is what I've done rather than watch TV. So that's where we're at. This... No, it won't have, because we used the other one. This is the one that's in the truck. So this has got two parts of the gearbox and a couple of gear case covers. Something like that. So that's what the gearbox looks like. Anyway, that's one of those things. I'm sure you're all totally sick of that. But I'm not going to sort of drag this out too much, but that's one of the things I've been working on. We're in sort of disaster prep here at the moment because there is a cyclone coming through probably tomorrow night, tomorrow afternoon, tomorrow sometime. I don't know, sometime between tomorrow afternoon and 2 a.m. on Friday morning. No one really knows, and it seems to be tracking round and round in circles out there. It could hit in 3 hours, or it could be sort of a non-event. No one really knows. It's sort of the nature of cyclones. Same as a tornado, I guess you would call. It's a tropical storm anyway. And it's a bit messy, to be honest. So Joe's disappeared for the week because he really doesn't want to be stuck here doing nothing, and it'll frustrate the crap out of him. I know that, and he'll think he'll just get stir crazy and he won't be able to go anywhere, he won't be able to do anything. He probably won't go anywhere or do anything, but if he does get a bit stir crazy, and it'll weigh on him a bit that he can't. Because if he goes, he's gone to Roma, which is sort of well out of reach of the cyclone. For for a hotel and some internet, which may or may not happen. So that's where he's gone. So we'll see what happens. It's just practice, William. Got to get into it. You've got to pick a project like this and just go with it until it's done, and then start the next one. That's the way to make things like this. Try and look at some of my other CAD work. It's not the only thing here. This is all over the place. There's all sorts of stuff here. Here's one you're probably a little bit familiar with. What have we got here? 1,000 things. This is the CAD work for the guard on the launch that we've been working on. That's what it looks like pretty much exactly. Some interesting curves in that. It's another job that needs to be fixed, but that's what the brackets look like, and basically how it connects under in the back with a couple of bolts. But that's sort of, yeah, that's another project that very nice to have a CAD picture, especially with castings. What else have we got? We're going back a bit. Some of these files are pretty huge, to be honest. Fowler parts. That's the cutouts for the new ashpan pins, something like that. Pump valve that hasn't happened yet. Soft jaw. Oiler tops that are finished. I've done some stuff. Driver's tokens which are finished. Valve seats which we're working on. All sorts of other stuff. Anyway, that's CAD. Anyway, what I was going to show everyone was this. Yes, some launch uni joints too. You saw that. That was very observant. We're still working on that. But this is what we've come up with, and we have printed a prototype. If I can find it. Not there. Probably behind this very dusty laptop. Sorry about the dusty laptop, guys. This is what I've got as a prototype, right? I'm really quite impressed with these. We're not going to bust these ever. Like, you'd have to put a pretty big spanner on that to break them off. So that's basically where we're at with that. I don't think it's going to be, they're not going to look exactly like that, but we're working on them. They need smoothing out a bit and tidying up and making it a little bit smaller and just little adjusting trim things, and we'll print another set and we'll see how it looks. This one's got a slot in it for a pin. I'm not sure that's what's going to happen, but that's, I think, a really good system. I don't think they'll break under load. So that's something on there. Anyway, this is the best thing, right? As far as disaster prep goes, if you've got a battery drill, whatever brand battery drill you got, get yourself one of these. You should have one of these anyway, right? Because in an emergency, you can charge your phone or run your laptop or whatever. Because this has got 5-volt USB out and a in and out 100-watt USB-C. So you can recharge a battery through USB-C or USB. So you can recharge this battery driving around from your car. Slow, but you can. And if you need to recharge a battery, I mean, I've got a couple of lights and things for these, so they're going to be coming handy the next few days. It's only a little DeWalt battery. This one is little 1.3 amp hour, but it's still in there. Charge your battery a couple of times on your phone. So this is an awesome thing. All good to the battery dies, that's right. But hopefully we're in standby anyway, so we're in sort of disaster mode anyway. So I've got about 6 batteries, that's the other thing, and they're all charged up, so we should be good for power as far as mobile devices and things. We probably haven't got internet if we get a power cut, but anyway. So that's probably one of the most useful things. You can go and buy power banks and all this stuff. And I was in Bunnings and I was in Officeworks, like Office Supplies place yesterday, doing some things. And honestly, there were lines out the street nearly with people trying to buy power banks before a major disaster. And this, to my mind, is a better power bank because a bit more industrial. It works. Got a bit more load rating and very useful thing. So it's something to bear in mind if you're going to buy expensive power banks before the next disaster. If you've got a DeWalt or a Makita or even a Zito or a Milwaukee or Ryobi or whatever drill, you find the company has got one of these. You just get one and you've got 4 or 5 batteries probably for your battery drills and things. So that's, I guess, something else that's kind of cool. Not really a prepper. Not really how it is, but we try. Now I'm going to take you off this hands-free device. I hope you've sort of appreciated using it. I'm not sure how we pull it apart or anything. That unlocks that. Don't know how that works. Haven't really sussed this out properly. It looks like a good thing, but thanks, Peter. But I'm a bit slack with it. Let's go this way. Apart from that, this place is an absolute pigsty because everything in the backyard come inside, including my trestles, my easel, stuff everywhere. There's steam engine bits, like literally. So we're getting a drunk wobbly cam. This place is absolute disaster zone, because literally everything come inside, and Joe's been stir crazy all day. We've got tabletops and weight benches and all sorts of stuff in the kitchen that we weren't really expecting, but here it is. Broken chairs and all sorts. This, I thought I'd have a look at this anyway, because Joe's not here and we're going to sneak in. And this is what Joe's been working on. Bit of a job. There's been months on it. It's a big job, but this is a robot arm. It's all on roller bearings. It's all pretty nice, really. He's had some issues with one stepper motor, so that's back out again, which is probably that's the offending one. But he has had it running beautifully. It's very smooth and very functional. It's got a crazy amount of wiring involved. Quite a lot of 3D printed bits that are nice. But, and that's the wiring box, which is the stepper drivers and everything, which is more to it than I sort of thought, to be honest. Give you some idea, it's a crazy big job. So he's been probably a month wiring it up, because I've got no idea where anything goes. I'm not going to touch anything. And probably 3 months doing the CNC work and the bearing fits and things to make it all work, because this is all tapered roller bearings in everywhere and everything's preloaded, all that sort of stuff. This belt drive, this one here, it's all counterbalanced nicely. This one here drives this arm here to crown the top. This one here's got a worm backwards and forwards in here. I've got to think about that. It's got a screw anyway that I think changes this angle here. And then it's got another one here that opens and closes the claw on it. And this one here with the gearbox moves this backwards and forwards. And then there's another one here with a belt that drives the base. So, a little bit impressed with that, to be honest. Can't praise him up too much while he's not here. While he is here, but he's done a really nice job. This is the first major machining job, or machining electronics job like this he's ever done, and it's a crazy good job. Everything's nice, everything runs, it's smooth as silk when it's operating. It's a pretty nice job. It's all got limit switches on it, see. Gets this sorted, he'll be programming it and getting it going, but from the program on the laptop he's had it all mostly functional. So yeah, birth of our glorious robot overlord. So this kitchen table is Joe's main work area for stuff like this. Multimeter here and 1,000 wires, and trying to troubleshoot this stepper and work out what's wrong. But I think it's the stepper. So, but there's 1,000 meter, there's probably 200 meters of wire in the thing, and a lot of bits and pieces, but it's got it all working and programmed and stuff. It's USB and stuff to operate to the laptop, and power and networking cables for everything, and main controller cables. So a bit of a job, but it works, and I think it's not far off being functional. It's probably waiting now for a stepper motor. So that's, I'll show you that, because pretty impressed with that, and I'll talk him up because he's pretty clever and he's done a really nice job of it, and it's a nice robot arm. Like, it's not just a toy, that one. this is capable of loading a CNC machine or TIG welding, all that sort of stuff apparently. So we'll see how it goes. It's a good one to start on. If you wanted a project and you've got nothing else to do, I think it's an AR3 self-build robot. I think if you Google that, you would find it. But it's a crazy big job, especially to build it all from scratch. I think kits are available, but it's a serious couple of grand robot arm that's going to actually do some work. So we've got waste oil tins here, we've got hoses, everything's just come inside. Nobody's cleaned the kitchen since this all hit and been traipsed and muddied and out. It might happen tomorrow. It looks like Joe's probably been. You're after midnight, Joe, and I hope you're okay. You're waiting for the water to come up. You got the dinghy pumped up. Do you want me to bring the air compressor around? Some oil drums we'll tack to the side of that shipping container so that you've at least, yeah. If you stand in the middle, it shouldn't capsize. You'll be all right. Hope you're doing all right. So anyway, that's the Stuart knows all about it. The software that bloke has written is real good. Yeah, it's excellent, really. It's a pretty nice robot, I think. And it's been a mission. There's thousands of bits in there, and thousands of screws, and thousands of dozens of preloaded bearings and belt tensioners and all sorts of stuff. It's a big job. But hardly recommended as a project if you want a project. This is Joe's new toy, which is the Kidditech Q1. Very nice printer, actually. It's a knockoff of a Bamboo, I guess. But very good printer. A little bit impressed with it. I'm going to say that too. It was cheap and he did a lot of research and he ended up with something that was pretty decent, I think. The software is a bit Chinese, I guess, compared to the Prussia. It's probably not any worse than a Bamboo or something else. I don't know. So that's another pro toy that we've had recently. What else has he been up to? Apologies for this place, but we are in the middle of we've got all the backyard inside. He's just done this gearbox, this toolbox, bought this. I picked it up for him cheap. Or he picked it up cheap and I went and collected it, and it was a bit of a mess, and he's stripped it back and painted it, and it's come up pretty nice. So that's another thing, but this is our world, I guess. Still the box off the 3D printer there. I don't know why. It's a bit of a mystery. Anyway, that's where we're at. So back in here, and everything's packed in here too because nothing's outside. Anyway, that's sort of what's happening. Probably well over an hour, and I probably should go and check the news and stuff. But thanks heaps everyone for tuning in. There's our front springs, seem to be printing pretty good at the moment. Funny you should say that, Stuart. Come home last night and Joe and I saw a gentleman or two gentlemen putting a glass patio table out on the street for street collection last night, which seemed like a really smart thing to do, but not big on thinking as some gentlemen. It's not really the way that is. So Interesting. I don't know what they thought that was obviously out of the way. Rather than restrain it in the backyard, you put it out on the street and have it blow through the front window. I'm not sure about that. It's a bit strange. It's just one of those things we noticed. That's a BAC, that's right. Nothing better. Time to go to bed. That was a quick visit, John. You take care. Let us know if you're all okay in the morning and everything, or when you get there, when you get through. Make it out the other end. John just lives around the corner at the bottom of the hill. We're not all that concerned, but it is at the bottom of the hill. We've got to board your windows up type storm. Probably yes, but we'll see how we go with it. It's going to pass a couple 100 kilometres or 60 or 80 kilometres south, I think, at this point. But we haven't been as well organised as we should have, and we haven't gone around and taped up windows and things. Probably should have put some gaffer tape crossways on the windows at least, but it hasn't happened. Anyway, I'm out, guys. Thanks for tuning in. I've bored you silly. This was a completely off topic workshop video, and I really appreciate you all joining in. We'll be back to normal programming next week with some progress on stuff and some actual machining being done. Tape on the window is advisable. That's correct. Anyway, we'll see how we go through it. See if we get through it. Anyway, take care, guys. Appreciate you all tuning in. Be kind to each other. Go check out Nigel's new video because it's a pretty good one. Check out Chirpy's new video because that was a pretty good one. If anyone else has got a new video, they probably should have, when they entered the chat, said, hey, I have a new video. I think you should go and watch it when we're done here. And that's absolutely permissible, and it's absolutely what you should be doing. So give yourself a plug. Don't rely on me to do it. Give yourself a plug. But there's a good one from Nigel, good one from Chirp. What else did I see? There's a few good videos out there. Anyway, I'm out, guys, and I'll catch you again. Thanks, guys. And Mark's uploading, that's good. But honestly, if you've got a new video, I'm not always going to remember. I've probably seen it, but I'm not always going to remember. So just honestly, just plug it. We're dead keen on that. That's a good thing. That's what this is for. Anyway. I'm out, and we'll see ya.